Welcome to Bold Talk Series, where creativity, leadership, ideas, innovation come together. My name is Epi Ludvik, and today I have a privilege to have a short one-on-one conversation with Winston Justice, former NFL player turned CEO at SageSpring Private Wealth. Winston, great seeing you. Welcome to our Bold Talk Series. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, great to see you, and truly was looking forward to this conversation, and
Me too.
very excited about this. But first, let's start this with your NFL. You had a remarkable career in NFL, but what moment during your playing days first sparked the idea that life after football could involve building something in business?
Business. So I was born and raised in California. I wanted to stay there, so I went to USC. But when I was at USC, I majored in public policy, which is another a major to stay eligible to play football. And so I didn't study business when I was at USC. When I was drafted to the Eagles, I realized that football wasn't for long, and I didn't want football to be the best time of my life, and the best time to prepare for my second career is during the first one. And so during my first year, I asked Andy Reid, who's coach at the time, that I wanted to go back and get a master's in finance because I knew I wanted to get in business. I wanted to do something significant. What's more significant than money, or the stewardship of money, right? And what that really means and how that could really impact an institution and also like a family. And so I knew I wanted to get into finance. I just didn't know what type of finance. And so I thought going to school could help me with that direction. And I thought I wanted to be a venture capitalist at first. First I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I started a chain of coffee shops, which are still open today. And I wanted to be a venture capitalist on the private side. That experience made me realize that I wanted to be on the public side. And so when I was done playing, or when I thought I could play, but no one else thought so, that's normally how it ends in the NFL, right? I started at Wells Fargo as an associate analyst. And then from there, I went to be a portfolio manager. And then from there, I went to Bernstein and then made the transition to be the CEO of SageSpring Private Wealth. And so to fully answer your question, I got into business really out of fear of football being the best time of my life. I wanted to contribute to the world more so than just being a football player.
Amazing. Winston, you're one of fortunate NFL players because you operated with the right data. The data out there tells that after 3 years, the most of NFL, like 80% of NFL players, they go pretty much bust, or they really don't have much money to sustain that life. What happened that the time that you figure out that, okay, well, this data is right, I got to really operate with this type of data?
I was blessed to have really good mentors.
Amazing.
I reached out to a lot of players that were successful after their playing days, and I reached out to really just gain insight. And one of the biggest things I learned from those interactions was you needed to surround yourself with the right type of people, right type of team. I didn't want anything from you, but just wanted to help you grow as a person, help you grow in business, help you grow in your craft. And so that's what I did. I really surrounded myself with the right type of people. And I think a lot of athletes that are making the transition after football or NFL or NBA aren't surrounded by the right type of people. I think if you surround yourself with the right type of people, I think you really set yourself up for success. And I did my best to create a community that helped me make really crucial decisions going forward. And I still have that community now, right? I think we could all have blinders on, right? We could all look at a situation, see it one way. That's why it's really important for us to have mentorship, have counsel, to look around the blinders just in case you have those blinders on or not. And so I think that's changing. I think players are becoming more sophisticated, and they are surrounded then they are surrounding themselves with the right type of people. But I think we still have a ways to go.
Yeah, and I truly believe that you're a true inspiration for all those players out there. Really, when they hear this message or they hear other messages that you've been doing in some other podcasts or some other shows, that this is truly, this message has to be out, because what you did is, this goes back to my triple A's. I always call, like, acknowledge, accept, take actions, right?
Mhm.
If you don't acknowledge and don't accept, it doesn't matter what kind of action you're going to take. You're still always going to go around and around and around. And
Yeah,
that's what you did. And what you also did in this case, you also went and got your feet wet
yeah,
with starting a
yeah,
startup a little bit here, get
yeah.
your hands dirty with the, it wasn't easy to humble yourself, right?
No, it wasn't. And actually, to go back to your point, sports really teaches you that, right? As an athlete, you learn those character strengths through sports in a very short like window, right? How do you deal with loss? How do you come back from getting beat, right? How do you work with a player that you don't totally get along with, but you got to work together anyway, right? A lot of those things in sports, right, really translate into other sectors, other fields in like business, right? And I learned a lot of that being resilient from my experience playing football, and that's why I have my kids play sports too, right? Because it builds character, right? Especially now they grew up a lot different than I did, right? When my daughter plays soccer and she's going through a tough time, that adversity helps you grow as a person, right? And sports is a very is it's a good place to have adversity in sports on the field than like in life, you know. And when she's going through that adversity on the field, I can't go out there and help her. She has to deal with that herself. She has to deal with that with her coaches and her teammates, and that's building character. And I think that character you build in sports is really
Yeah.
transferable.
Yeah. You mentioned this very well, because once you build a character, you build a perseverance, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah,
and that perseverance, that discipline, you have it as an athlete, right? But then what you really mentioned about the other players, for example, they don't have the right people, so you require some systems, right? So you understood that the systems are important
mhm. Yeah,
to be to transform
exactly,
yourself, right?
exactly. Because when you're an athlete and you're driven and you're done playing sports, right? You're still driven, but you could go the wrong way with the wrong group, and that's exactly what happens. It's not like athletes go home and they're lazy, they don't want to do anything. I mean, it's definitely not that. They're driven, they want to work hard, they want to succeed. It's just which way to go, and a lot of times there's no one telling you, hey, you should go this way. What do you think? It's like just you, right? That's why it's more so important for you to be around a community of people that could help guide you.
Yeah, and the power of mentors and how you pick the mentors, it's so critical to every stage. I believe, we should never stop learning. We should never pick the mentors. I listened to the podcast of Jim Rohn, the former mentor of Tony Robbins, right? And he always says, like, discipline needs systems. You
Mhm.
can have a discipline. If the system is not, if you don't have a system, you're gonna go fall back into your
Yeah,
old behaviors.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Winston, I'm truly enjoying this conversation. Now, fast forward to today, as a CEO of a SageSpring, one of the fastest growing wealth management firms. You're the helm of a $7 billion platform. What's one leadership decision that truly tested you, and what did it reveal about your instincts or values?
Leadership decision recently or in life or
Through the SageSpring experience, either one.
leadership decision. Man, that's a really good question. I have to think
I
about that
told
because
you, I told you I will ask you good questions, right?
yeah,
my
yeah,
mentor, my mentor said the quality of questions will determine the quality of outcome.
yeah,
I remember that all the time. It's not about just asking any question. You truly want to have a really good questions, right? So,
yeah. The biggest thing I think that, and everyone goes through a different journey. is the way you communicate to your team and to the company, right? You want to communicate in a way that is effective and then it's very palatable to your audiences, and also different ways and how people communicate, right? You can't project the way that you receive information across 194 people, right? Some people they receive the information in company meetings. Some people have read emails, right? Some people are one-on-one, and uh, repeating a message is really important, and it's really important for me to get that message across the firm. So one of the biggest decisions I had to make was, hey, realizing that I need to meet the people I serve on different levels, and how I communicate that is going to be on different levels. Right? It's going to be spoken. It's going to be through email, and it's going to be one on one. And you need to make a conscious effort on reaching the people that you're serving, because that's really what you're doing. Right? I'm here serving everyone here. Right? I feel like I work for 194 people. Right? I'm trying to help them achieve their goals, right? Because I know if I help them achieve their goals, from the advisor to the CFO to the person at the front desk, right? If I help them achieve their goals, ultimately they'll help achieve the company's goals
Yeah.
if we have aligned interest in messaging.
Yeah, yeah, I truly believe like if the I go with I call it PPF, like person, profession, financial, right? If you really have those really clear and defined for yourself, you really can go and help the company achieve the goals. And you what you're saying here, you like really help them clarify their goals. What are their goals in life, with personal, professional, financial, so that way they can really be a really natural fit with an organization. Because this brings me to the next point, Winston, and that is like about, so you're managing money. It's building legacies. Now, how do you translate an abstract principle like stewardship into something that drives operations and culture and client trust at scale? Communication, you mentioned one thing, but is there anything else that you fine tune it to make sure that the company is always taking that direction?
One is constant communication, and in that communication is the reiteration of goals of the firm, right? Where do you want to be in 10 years in terms of AUM? How do we treat each other in culture, right? We really say that 1 + 1 = 3, right? We are better together, and we have each other's back. How are we showing that and exhibiting that on our daily choices, right? Also, we have a sense of urgency, right? And that sense of urgency is really a daily choice, right? How we choose in daily to wake up and serve each other and actually reach our goal that we made as a company. And so it's constant communication and then repeating that message over and over again, so that ingrains in the employees. And so we're like one team. So if you came to our office now, you could say, hey, what's our mission? What's our values? And then what's our goal? Hopefully, everyone could say the same thing, right? And then that bleeds into whatever your role is at the company, right? If you are an advisor and you're client facing and you're serving your families, it will show how you serve them, because that's a very significant way, right? If you're a CSA and you're loading documents, you'll do that. If you're at the front desk, you'll do that, right? And so we want that culture and that underlying tone of service to bleed across whatever role that you have.
Yeah, and that nothing happens without having a conversation, right? So the conversation being the front line, the most important thing. It's so important. um, I'm really enjoying this conversation. It's a short format, and we will need to wrap up here. But before we wrap up, Winston, um, about the word bold, I like to get a different perspective from different people. And what does that mean to you personally?
Bold. That's a good one too. Bold to me is having courage, walking through fear. I think we all experience fear and uncertainty. Being bold, and also the only way you really achieve something of substance is making decisions above your feelings especially fear, right, or uncertainty. So being bold is having the courage to walk through that fear, walk through being uncomfortable for that light that's at the other end of the tunnel, right? For the success, for meeting the goal, right? But you have to work through being uncomfortable. You have to lean into that so you can have the success on the other end. And that's how things are. That's how God made it, right? Here to grow muscle, you have to go through the pain of breaking down the muscle, right? I think to get to the goals for our company, for our team, for myself, we have to be willing to have the courage to do the uncomfortable thing. And to me, that's being bold.
Very well said. And that's where we go back to that what you mentioned about the character.
Mm.
Having that character that builds that perseverance,
Yeah,
walking through all the way, no matter what, and seeing yourself that manifest that's bold.
yeah,
Listen, so great to have you. Looking forward to connect in person or again to maybe
yeah.
have a long format conversation like this.
Singapore, let's do it.
Singapore, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's be bold. Take care, my friend, and look forward to see you again. Bye bye.
All right, thanks again. Appreciate it.